Today we're going to review Xiaomi's most affordable phone in their Mi series lineup. Is this ultra slim, featherweight, and capable phone worth your money? Hello world, Coco Martech here, and this is my review of the Xiaomi Mi 11 Lite. Welcome to an episode of
TT with Coco Martech.
Let's start with the unboxing. The box of the Mi 11 Lite is minimalist with this white box and silver branding. Inside you have the SIM ejector tool, a transparent silicone case, the user guide, the warranty card, a 33 watts fast charger brick, a USB Type-C to 3.5mm headphone jack port dongle, and a thin screen protector that is already installed on the phone. The first thing that you will notice with this phone is how light it is. I asked my family to hold it for the first time and they were shocked because it's really light, weighing at just 157 grams. Well, grams is actually more of about the mass, not the weight. Anyway, you get the point. And it is the slimmest or thinnest phone, or one of the thinnest phones in 2021 with a depth of just 6.8 millimeters. That's crazy given with all of the specs inside that powers this phone to do all your daily needs and tasks. It's also boxy at the sides like the iPhone 12s, which sometimes hurt my palms when playing for far too long, but it's bearable. The ergonomics is not its best feature anyway. Still, I love how it's so thin and light but still performs. That's what she said. Another thing to notice is that the texture of the back of the Mi 11 Lite is satisfying to hold or touch since first, it feels like holding the back of the iPhone 12 that is with matte glassed back, which I really appreciate what Xiaomi did here. Lastly, it's with IP53 water dust resistant. At the top of the phone, it has an IR blaster and a microphone. At the right side, it has the volume rocker and the power button. And at the bottom, it has the primary microphone, the second stereo speaker, the USB Type-C port, and the ejectable hybrid SIM card tray where you can expand the memory up to 512 gigabytes. Color variants of the Mi 11 Lite are Boba Black, Bubblegum Blue, and Peach Pink. Next, let's talk about the screen display. The Mi 11 Lite has a 6.55-inch AMOLED screen, brightness level of 500 nits, maxed at 800 nits. For the screen resolution of this phone, it has 1080 by 2400 pixels, an aspect ratio of 20 by 9, a pixel density of 402 pixels per inch, and it's protected with the Corning Gorilla Glass 5. What I like about the display of this phone is that it's well balanced for me. You can watch HDR10 videos, but it's nothing special. You have a fluid 90Hz refresh rate, which is a must-have for phones within the price range. I also appreciate the consistent sizes of the bezels because I easily get annoyed with phones with large bezels at the bottom or the big chin. Viewing angles are also good, and I'm addicted to playing the Magic Chess for Mobile Legends since you can actually work while playing it, so the phone is usually laid flat on the table while me working on my laptop, and the viewing angle is really good. I have no complaints with it. About the screen's brightness, it's good enough, but I wanted it to be brighter. Speaking of gaming, the Mi 11 Lite has a chipset of Snapdragon 732G, a GPU of Adreno 618, either 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, and 128 gigabytes of UFS 2.2 internal storage. It's only 4G LTE capable, and there's a separate phone for the 5G model. It's a capable phone. It's not the fastest one, but it's still not a slow phone either. In terms of basic functionalities like swiping through the home screen or opening apps combined with the fluid 90Hz refresh rate, it still feels fast. In terms of gaming, I had no problems with Mobile Legends. It rarely lagged, and I rarely had frame drops even with 5v5 clashes. Same with Wild Rift with none to little frame drops and lag. Same with Call of Duty. For Asphalt 9, you can notice little amount of frame drops, but still the Adreno 618 relatively does a good job with high graphic intensive games. For Genshin Impact, of course, it's one of the heaviest games in terms of graphic rendering, so you'll definitely lag and have frame drops with it. Maybe low graphic settings for Genshin Impact, but not everyone plays Genshin Impact anyway, and a lot of the games that consumers are playing are not as graphic intense as Genshin Impact. So I think it's a very capable phone. It's powerful enough for daily games that most users play, and it doesn't heat as much as other phones do within the same price range. Now, if you're going to be technical and analyze the benchmark scores of the Mi 11 Lite, it still does a decent job giving out a single core of 560 and a multi-core of 1764. For a comparison, the Realme 8 Pro and the Poco X3 NFC almost have the same or similar scores with the Mi 11 Lite. I'll also be doing a Xiaomi Mi 11 Lite versus Realme 8 soon, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified. For the speakers, it has a hybrid stereo speaker setup. It has a bottom-firing speaker as well as the front-facing earpiece acting as the second speaker. They're loud, they're good overall. I really like this kind of setup because you can easily block the bottom-firing speaker, so a second speaker surely helps a lot with your experience. Of course, the earpiece speaker is a lot softer, but still, it's there. Anyway, here is a sample speaker test for you to judge. Now, since the phone is ridiculously thin, something will be compromised, right? What do you think will be the trade-off for having a slim body? That's right, battery. Good job, stranger. Well, you're going to expect the battery life to suck since 4250 milliamperes is small for today's standards. Battery life is actually doing well in my experience. I'm lasting a day even when I play a lot of online games and watch a lot of serial killer series online. I actually expected this phone to suffer since having a 90Hz refresh rate is a battery draining feature, but it did good in my experience. Don't get me wrong, I've tested this phone for a month already and it consistently does good in terms of battery life. Now, for the charging speed, the Mi 11 Lite supports 33 watts fast charging just like the Mi 11 Lite 5G. Based also on my a month of testing, I'm getting around an average of 50% of battery with 30 minutes of charging. Combining a lasting battery life and fast charging speed, the battery performance is surprisingly good for the Mi 11 Lite. Next, let's talk about the software experience. The Mi 11 Lite has Android 11 with MIUI 12.05 out of the box. It's your typical Xiaomi experience for me. You have the always on display feature, but ironically it's not always on since it disappears after around 10 seconds. You have lots of built-in themes to choose from and you can easily customize your phone, like the always on display with lots of things to choose from, like the breathing light where the curved edges of the display will flash with colors upon new notifications. The fingerprint scanner embedded on the power button is fast and reliable. The face unlock is not as reliable for me since it sometimes does not work on my face. You have lots of pre-installed apps such as Amazon Shopping, Booking.com, and LinkedIn. I also hate when you open a folder in the home screen and then Xiaomi suggests tons of apps out of nowhere. And of course, Xiaomi's ads, which sometimes ruins the experience. Basically, it's your typical Xiaomi UI experience. It's not really bad, but for me, they have a lot of cleaning to really polish the experience of the phone. Lastly, let's talk about the cameras. The Mi 11 Lite has 3 camera lenses, a 64 megapixel f1.8 main lens, an 8 megapixel f2.2 119 degree ultra wide lens, and a 5 megapixel f2.4 macro lens. In front, it has a 16 megapixel lens for taking selfies. The Mi 11 Lite uses a Samsung GW3 64 megapixel sensor and it relatively has a small sensor size of 0.7 microns. By default, the main lens saves a 16 megapixel photo instead of using the whole or entire 64 megapixels. For the actual photo qualities, the Mi 11 Lite gives great overall photos. There's a lot of contrast and more than average saturation going on for taking photos. So if you're into that, you're gonna enjoy taking photos with this phone. That applies for all of the camera lenses. The dynamic range is great. The HDR applied on the photos also is well balanced for me. White balance overall is good too, but there's a little warmness for skin tones. Since the Mi 11 Lite does not have a telephoto lens, it uses digital cropping for the 2x zoom, which of course creates worse photos as compared to the quality of the main lens. The ultra-wide lens take good photos too. Dynamic range is okay with good contrast and more accurate colors. There's also a lens correction happening to prevent distortions, and the noise is kept minimal. It's not as detailed as the main lens and they're a bit soft, but overall the ultra-wide lens still performs well. The macro lens also take detailed photos with great colors and contrast. They're not super sharp and the focus distance is around 7 centimeters. Since it does not have stabilization, I suggest taking plenty of photos using the macro lens to get a properly focused photo. As for the selfie camera, it was more natural looking and balanced, especially for the skin tones. The colors and contrast are good and the dynamic range is around above average. They're not super sharp and maybe it's a little soft, especially with less light, but overall they're okay. What I like about the selfie camera though is the portrait selfie, since the background blur looks natural and the overall photos produced are great. Well, that's with simple background. So if you take a photo and let's say you have a tree on the background, you can notice some errors on the subject and background separation. Lastly, taking photos during low light are also good. Taking photos take around 3 seconds. There's enough details with its night mode. The sharpness is just right and the noises reduction is okay. The saturation and exposure are balanced with good amount of saturation. Again, since the lenses do not have any stabilization, it's better to take multiple photos of your subject. This is a sample video selfie test for the Xiaomi Mi 11 Lite 1080p 60 frames per second, so you can comment on what is the quality for taking selfie videos. So basing on the screen that I see here, it's overexposed for the sky, so the dynamic range is not that good unless we click there to focus the dynamic range there, but it's still good quality for a 1080p video. So what do you think of the selfie video test? This is the rear video test for the Xiaomi Mi 11 Lite 4K 30 frames per second. It's very detailed and the dynamic range is really good for this rear video test, and you can see the clouds and the skies are really punchy and vibrant, even the leaves, the grass. And let's check out the stabilization when walking. So if I look at the screen here, it's really stabilized. It's not jittery, it's not bad. And I really like the quality of this 4K video. It's really cinematic and you can really create good content, great quality content with this phone. So if you're looking for a great phone with great video capabilities, then this one is really a good option to look at. The Xiaomi Mi 11 Lite's price starts at 13,990 pesos or around $288.50 for the 6 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes variant, and 4,490 pesos or around $298.81 for the 8 gigabytes RAM variant. The Xiaomi Mi 11 Lite is not the fattest or the fastest phone out there, but it's stylish, it's powerful enough, and it's easy to use and hold. This is a good buy for me, especially if you're a Xiaomi fan. You can also check out Realme 8. I'll be doing a review video for it, so as well as a comparison with the Mi 11 Lite, so don't forget to subscribe. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and I'll see you in my next video. Stay safe. It's a good buy. Xiaomi's a good buy. Mi 11 Lite is a good buy. Bye-bye.